Let's get to some specific corporate results now. Qualcomm's results beating estimates in the second quarter, but a disappointing forecast from the company is sending those shares sharply lower this morning by about 10%. The company blaming a slower recovery in China and a challenging macro environment for the disappointing guidance. On the conference call, Qualcomm executives said they do not see an immediate rebound in demand here. And as we know, Qualcomm has been trying to diversify its business, but it still makes most of its money from selling chips to handset makers like Apple, which is one of its biggest clients. And revenue from handset chips was down by 25%. So not good.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the chip story now has evolved a little bit in the last couple of days even. You look at what AMD said, I think it was just on Tuesday afternoon. We're all kind of benchmarking to NVIDIA coming out at the end of May and being like, oh, we're raising our guidance by 50%. And I think there's a realization perhaps that the chip cycle is always a cycle and continues to be a cycle. And after kind of these huge inventory builds, and we saw it across industries, but certainly chips, was one of the more acute sectors that saw this massive run up in 2020 and 2021 for all kinds of reasons. You had the economy, actually kind of doing this major surge out of the pandemic. You had the crypto cycle there. And now it's like, well, maybe AI will just make the cycles go away. And I think that's not quite the case, certainly not the case when you look at the stocks there. I mean, it's been a major bid, certainly looking at the ETF level here, because again, it's like a very simple, here's the AI story, but you kind of go through the call and you see the commentary, from Qualcomm specifically. And I think their view on AI is there's a lot of, everyone's doing this. They're walking back that it's going to happen today. They're talking on the call about how cars are probably their most interesting application for AI, but you and I both drive every day, and cars are mostly still driving themselves. So I think that kind of again pushes all these timelines a little bit out into the future.
Yeah, and also if you think about their mix, and this is something they've been working on a while, and some other chip makers have too. Revenue from handset chips, $5.25 billion. Automotive revenue, $434 million. So yes, they're trying to boost it up, but it's still a small part of the overall. And you also have to think that NVIDIA, which participates on the data center side of it, I think there's this realization at this point that different chip makers make chips for different things, and not all of them are going to be applicable to this huge AI thing right away. It's certainly going to happen in stages.
And we're talking specifically about the chip trade right now, but ultimately this is the case for all sectors whenever there is a bailout like AI, right? AI became a bailout for a number of different companies and a number of different industries. And for investors who were coming off a very bad 2022, it became very safe. You can buy the ETF, just buy everything in the basket and it'll probably do better than the market. And now this feels like the quarter, at least to me, kind of going through all these different calls and seeing all these different results, where it's like, oh, okay, all right. Are we sure? Are we sure that's like a today story? Moreover, if your stock is up 30, 40, 50, 150% so far this year, it doesn't take a lot for there to be a sense, and maybe Qualcomm doesn't quite fit in this basket, but there doesn't take a lot for there to be a sense from investors that, I guess I should have read the call before I bought the stock, but hey, it went up a bunch. So let me just get out of here alive and move on to the next one.
Well, there's another chip maker that we should mention that has been sort of, even before the AI wave, was sort of struggling to get back to its former self, and that is Intel. Our Brian Sozzi had the chance to speak to Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, and Soz asked him, where are you in this whole AI race? And this is what Pat had to say.
Okay, Intel, are you going to participate in that accelerator market? And, I'll just say we haven't been as aggressive out of the chute as we should have been. And now with our Gaudi product line really starting to get interest in the marketplace, customer pipeline is building very rapidly. We're showing up. We're starting to make a impact in the marketplace, but we have to prove it because we have a clear market leader who's executing very well.
So that's Intel's response there, that they're, kind of playing catch up a little bit, and we'll see if they manage to do that.
I think at this point in the cycle, it's one of the few times when it's never safe, but it's like safe-ish to say we're behind. We're catching up. We're going to figure out our thing longer term. And, we could kind of go all day on the strategy around your AI strategy, but it feels like a little bit of the heat has come off the let me get the whole
Yes.
roadmap for the next 5
Yes.
years today.
I mean, and the thing about NVIDIA is it doesn't report till the end of the month, so we got to wait to see if they are
really
living
are,
up to the
yeah,
expectations.
like that. I mean, them, like Walmart's in this bucket of like they're lagged on the earnings kind of cycle.
Well, but at least all of the retailers are lagged. Like you get the other chip makers, and then there's NVIDIA way at the end.
But the thing with Walmart and NVIDIA is like Walmart becomes a bellwether for the whole economy.
Right,
so you get through the whole thing, and then Walmart comes out at the end, and it's like, oh, actually it was good, or actually it was bad. And NVIDIA,
and they had another month. I mean, their calendar's different too.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.